Fingers and Pies podcast brought to you by Meron Freight UK.
Welcome to episode 13 of the Fingers and Pies podcast with Meron Freight UK with my co-host Tommy. How are you doing, Tommy? You all right?
All good, thank you very much.
And our esteemed guest, Lydia Walmsley. How are you, Lydia?
Yes, I'm good, thank you. Yeah,
Good.
happy to be here. What an honour to be on the podcast.
I know, exactly. We've finally got you on. We've been trying to get you on for a little while, but then it's finally happened. Tommy, you nearly went on this episode.
Yep, gotta love the M25.
Yeah. You were
Absolutely right.
No, I'm so glad you're here. I was literally like, we're going to tell Lydia to go home. I was going to get Jimmy in to be you.
Yeah.
I was nearly going, just go to start. Just do it. And you come and make it, I make it.
The M25 was not your friend this morning, but you made it. We're into a new year, 2025. Lots going on, and it's perfect that we've got the racing driver Lydia Walmsley on, because this year, at this time of year, it all gets a bit silly for you racing drivers. But tell us a little bit about. Obviously, we were just talking off camera there. 7 years in a Mini, is that correct?
Yeah, I believe so. Yes, yeah.
Years.
It's a long time.
A long time in a Mini challenge, right? So, Mini challenge, but go on then. Without further ado, what are you doing this year?
So it's just been announced, so I'm racing in the Porsche Sprint Challenge this year, which is really exciting.
Awesome.
Yeah, can't wait. So that'll be with Graves Motorsport, which obviously I know really well. I work with them already, so it'll be really nice. Yeah, can't wait. Bit of a change to a minute.
Yeah. I was just about to say,
minor problems.
On the road, if I go from a Mini to a Porsche, obviously things are going very well. No, tell me about how. Is it daunting? Are you? What are you thinking? Excited?
I can't wait.
Yeah, of course.
I wouldn't say I'm not apprehensive about it. I had a test day last year just to see if I liked it, and of course it didn't take very long for me to decide I did. I probably didn't really need the test day, but it definitely instilled in me how different it is. And I had Max Coates sat next to me in the passenger seat, which was pretty cool. But obviously he's done the transition as well. And obviously amazing driver, done lots of different things, and he's done rear wheel drive before he did front wheel drive, so it might have been a little bit easier for him perhaps, but I can't wait. I mean, it is very different, but hopefully with a good few test days under my belt before the season starts, I'm hoping I'll be there, but you don't really know, do you? Until you do your first season, you don't know how you're going to do.
No.
I think I'm going into a good team. They've done well last year. It's nice because obviously I'm joining a team. We've always done it ourselves previously, so it'll be nice to go into something new and have a setup that works, have a driver coach that knows how to drive the car, have data, which I've never had before. So
that's the big change for you as well, isn't it? Massive change.
Huge, yeah. And I hope it'll make a big difference because I think over the last few years, we've battled just being on our own. Even with a car, if you think you've got a car issue, you haven't got another car to compare it against to know if you have got an issue or if it's me in the driving seat doing something wrong, and you just don't know. And when you're looking for tenths of a second, you can't see that on the video. It's down in data, but we didn't have any. So I'm hoping with that additional support, maybe that might make just the step that we need to be right at the front. But we'll see.
That's gonna absolutely help, surely. Let's talk about that then. Being on your own for pretty much your entire Mini challenge career. I mean, you spent a year with Graves or whatever, but let's talk about that, because we were talking off camera and having quite a funny conversation. How is that? I mean, literally, so you've got teams around you. I mean, let's talk about it. Accelerate have got a lot of cars on the Mini grid. Obviously, you've got a touring car team. You've got Graves in there. You've got a number of other teams in there, Jam Sport, etc. Napa are in there as well.
Yeah.
And then there's you cracking on as an independent on your own. I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? When you do get the results that you did have this year, I think, where was it? Snit?
Yeah,
Snetterton. Oh, I've got a good memory. I did pay attention. So Snetterton, you end up on the podium and stuff. I mean, does it make just all the more rewarding, or do you get into the weekend and think, this is an absolute uphill battle each weekend? What do you wear? Underdog story kind of thing?
Yeah, sometimes it feels like a slog. Because you turn up and, you've got to accelerate with the 8 cars or they've got. And then you've got Napa, and obviously they've got the touring car team, as have Accelerate. And you just think the amount of knowledge that they've got that. I'm like, my dad's a great technician, but he's not been touring cars for years, and he it's just when Hybrid Tune were there, and the team owner used to work in F1, and you just think, how are we competing against this? And even when I smash the car up or whatever, we've got 2 mechanics to fix it. And whereas in Accelerate, obviously they're paying for that privilege, but you see their cars and they've got 6 or 7 people working on them when they need something done. So definitely, my dad and Dave, who's my mechanic, go home tired. It's a hard weekend.
It's a full-blown weekend.
Yeah, literally. Even from like when we have to be there on the Thursday setting up everything, it is a bit of a task. But when we get the good results, I think it is more rewarding because you see how much goes into it. I don't just turn up on a Friday like a lot of the other drivers do and jump in and go racing. I definitely see the whole background to what actually goes into getting there, which is really nice. It's nice to have that appreciation, I think.
I mean, it's the underdog story, right? So we end up with another thing. I'm seeing the film right now. That's what I'm saying. Let's talk about that. I find that hilarious, by the way, that your dad is, and I'm not in a bad way, I found it so funny because I'm a dad. Yeah. You're a dad, right? I've got a daughter. Not only is he concerned about you hurtling around with all these nutty mini drivers, and
he's also responsible for their car.
For the car. That's the thing. She comes out and is like, "Are you okay? And what the hell have you done to the car?" What is his reaction? I mean. Yeah.
Bless him. Sometimes, when I was racing Saxo, so very inexperienced, 14 years old, couldn't drive on the road, didn't really know what pedal did what. And I brought that Saxo back in some states. And obviously the first question would be, are you okay? And then once it was yes, quickly followed by, oh my gosh, how am I going to fix this? And it's, And to be honest, with the Saxo, it was welding cage, so you couldn't even just reshell it. I mean, at one point, he was literally cutting the car in half in front of the windscreen and popping another front end on it, just because we had to, and that was what had to happen. But sometimes I see his face and I do feel bad. But it is what it is. Nature of the beast, isn't it?
So sometimes you need that distraction as well, though. He's probably thinking, my daughter, she's got her first championship karting race next weekend. And it is, I suppose, a bit of distraction being able to do something instead of just standing there freaking out the whole time. So I suppose...
Well, yeah, I guess so. Let's get him on the podcast. I mean, we've got a lot of questions for him. But I just think, like you say, we've seen parents in the we've seen Tom's dad runs out for the start. He doesn't watch any start. They all have this sort of superstitions and stuff. I mean, Roland's dad used to just yell at the screen at the ITV cameras and stuff. So we've seen. Mums and dads in about it, but also that I just love the fact that you're going to bring. He's obviously really nervous about your welfare, first of all, and then he's thinking, "Great, you're all right," and then you maybe wander off for a bit of a drink or a drink or like to chill out a little bit, and he's like, "Better fix this then."
Bless him. I think when he stands on the pit wall, he says his heart pumps like he's sprinting. I don't know. Do you get that? Yeah. He says it's honestly makes him so nervous.
It's like a secondary adrenaline rush. It's really weird because you're not doing anything, but you can feel it even when Til's just been racing inside or whatever, doing bits.
Yeah.
It does instantly.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, God, I'm not doing it. Why do I feel like this? But you do. It's like you feel it through them. So, it's...
I think with karting as well, at least you can see it all. So my dad used to say karting was so much easier because you can see everything. Yeah. Whereas when you're car racing, if you're at Snetterton, you've got 2 minutes to wait for that car to come round. And apparently, whenever the red flag comes out, I'm always the last one in. If it's a test session, he says, honestly, and the odds are getting worse and worse. And eventually you come round, he's like, I think you do it on purpose just to make me stress.
Just drive along, slow right down.
I'll have this guy. But I mean, even my mum, I get told by, random spectators I've never met in my life, oh yeah, your mum was pacing up and down the hill at Brands Hatch, and I'm just like,
still the same, the same sort of level of nerve. So when you talk to me a bit about how you got into this whole thing, right? So let's go back because I want to see when did you? I mean, is it? does it come from your parents? Like, the whole motorsport love? Where does it come from?
Well, it's one big mistake, really, isn't it? No, my dad used to race on like oval circuits, so very different to what we do now. But we had a local oval circuit, Vauxhall Stadium, literally 5-minute walk from our house. We were always there. My dad started doing that before I was born, actually. So I was always brought up around that. Very different, but I showed an interest, and he basically said, "Oh yeah, no, that's too dangerous. We'll go karting instead," which obviously is not any safer really in reality. But so he took me karting when I was 7, probably thinking it was going to be a one-time thing like you do with kids. You take them, they do everything, don't they? Unfortunately for my parents, I loved it, and then since then that's all it's been.
Wow.
Which is a shame really, because the holidays have decreased, and poor old mum's not travelled the world like she wanted to, but she's gone to Brands Hatch and Stetson and not Kill. Our annual holiday is not Kill, which is quite funny, but it's I wouldn't change it for the world, of course not, but that's how it started really. But even then, when I was like 10, 11, you'd never think that we'd be doing what we're doing now. It's just mental. You kind of think when you get to a certain level or whatever you're doing, you just say, oh, that'll be it now, and somehow we've just kept managing to move up, which is really nice.
It's the ultimate story of you do anything for your kids, right? Because I can imagine you take them karting. I like karting, right? Okay, you like karting. You go, okay, I want to be a racing driver. And you're like, okay, fine. You just imagine the mum and dad go, all right then, cancel that. We're going to go over here. Sort of.
They literally had them conversations in the last couple of months.
Is there a point? I mean, you'll go through it now. Is there a point where maybe you've sat Tilly down, or your mum and dad sat down and go, do you want to do this? Because we're going to go hell for leather with it. If not, and proper give this a go, like Dad being a mechanic and Dave, whoever Dave is, Dave's
basically may as well be second dad.
Dave, whoever you are, you're a hero. So is there a point where you have that point? Do you remember that point, like, do you want to do this, Lydia? And you're like, yes. And we're like, okay, let's go for it. Was there a point, or was it kind of gradual? I used to be very much into dance. So I'd be dancing and go-karting. And my parents were like, we can't keep doing both. This is getting ridiculous. And I think they thought that I would choose the dance. So they were like, right, let's have this honest conversation. Which one is it going to be? And dance. And I was like, oh, let's go karting then. And they were like, no. And that was it. But they gave me the option, and I picked the option. But it probably wasn't the desirable one. But I mean, it is what it is, isn't it? I'm very, very lucky. Like without my parents, I would never have been able to do that. It's not a sport that's accessible at all, I don't think, really, for a lot of people. So I am very, very lucky. But it's just funny. But I'm so fortunate. I've been able to do it from so young, because I don't think you can start when you're 16, 17 and get to where you hope to be. I just don't. I think it's so hard.
We were at Sandown the other week. Tilly had to do our tuition thing to be allowed to be on the Jamie Chadwick series, right? So we were there on a Wednesday night, -1. She's got an hour.
I saw the
She
story.
literally walked round.
That
it
was so
wet,
cold.
and it was -1. She was out there for an hour. I was like, fair play. Came in and just loved it. I just can't feel anything. I was like, all right, okay. Hand warmers and like all that stuff. And then we went on Sunday, and there was the little Bambinos were out before. Oh my God, them carts are like insanely cute. They're tiny. And then you got this kid in there with a helmet on that looks like a bobblehead, because the helmets are so big compared to their bodies. I'm like you say, you have to kind of start. I mean, don't get me wrong, Tilly started late. She was 10 when she started. But luckily she's progressed quite quickly to be able to be where she is. We'll see how this year goes and go from there. But she absolutely loves it. But again, I'm having that conversation where she's, for example, having like a growth spurt. She's got pain in her heels, and she's got this sort of, it's something that girls get quite a lot at their age, and it gives her pain doing any sport and running. So they've told her to stop. Well, Tuesday she's come back and said, I went to football club. I'm like, you've literally got your first race in 2 weeks' time. What do you want to do here? Because, you've got to make a decision. You need to, you're only 12, so it's really hard to get that discipline. But when all your mates are out there playing, it's really hard not to. But again, you've got an opportunity, and actually she's good at it without trying to blow smoke up her arse. Do you know what I mean? And I'm saying you actually got something like, it's balancing, isn't it? But so we'll see. But it's this is one podcast as well that I said to Tilly, like, you gotta listen to this.
Yeah.
You gotta listen to this, because exactly through like the Saxos and everything like that and the opportunities along the way. So
I think we're going to give her more to listen to now, because I'm going to ask you about that. So when you're going along as a kid to karting and what was it? So you were in your karting in Saxos, was it?
At 14,
At 14, yeah. So I'm going to ask you, how many other girls were there? If you count them on one hand?
Yeah.
Right,
easily.
okay.
Yeah. You'd never compete against more than one ever, and that would be rare to be competing against one.
So did that ever come into your head, like, because dancing was there, right? You see on Strictly right now, but so dancing was obviously a passion, and karting was a passion, right? Obviously, everything about society and everything at the time points. Oh well, girls go do dancing.
Yeah.
And that's not my thought process, especially having a daughter now. You're open to do absolutely everything.
Yeah.
And especially you're probably similar now to doing karting, right? But I reckon it must have been that decision, maybe the easier option for you, being a girl, looking at everyone around you doing dancing, was to stick with that. Yeah. So how hard was it? Was that any part of your thought process was like, oh, girls don't do motorsport, or was that
no, not at all. No. I mean, when I turned up, it was obvious I was the only one, and I wasn't ignorance the wrong word, but I wasn't like unaware of it. I knew I was the only one there, and when I'd stand there, I'd be a 7-year-old little girl against a 10-year-old boy. The height difference is massive. Like I could barely see over the wheel, but it wasn't. I didn't think about that at all. And I think because I've been involved in it for so long, from such a young age, you don't think about it. Everyone asks you, what's it like being a woman in motorsport? Well, I can tell you my experience, but I don't know what it's like to be a man in motorsport because I've never done it. I just from a young age, that's the way it's been for me. So I know what my experience has been. Would it have been easier if I was a boy? I don't know. I think there's probably pros and cons, from a marketing perspective. I stand out so much more.
100%.
Yeah, so I think it's brilliant. And the fact that we've got a sport where men and women can compete, level playing field against each other, amazing. And I love that. I think it's brilliant.
It's absolutely a level playing field. Look, I've had many a debate in the pub, and in an office, not this office, so we're in good company with these lot, but back in the day, where people were archaic in the way they think, and they would not believe about level playing field sports. Obviously, we know there's sports that aren't level playing field sports, but motorsport is absolutely one. And I've had the argument about, of course it is. And there's people that still believe that maybe, it's not. I was like, it absolutely is. But obviously, the girls that are going into motorsport, they're not in the numbers that boys do. So are you seeing that with Tilly as well?
It's I think the Jamie Chadwick series, for example, is obviously an all-female series, and it's a 1900% increase this year on last year. Yeah, it is just shooting up.
Of course it is.
And Till's been racing indoor stuff, and generally there's one other, say in a group of 10, she's the only one, but then you might there's 2 or 3 that's sort of always around. So, I think it's just the age gap. But again, it's still obviously only a couple in there per sort of like team sport, for example, where they are. Yeah. But then we're gonna turn up to Sandown in 2 weeks' time, and it's going to be a day that's full from juniors all the way from sort of 8 years old all the way up to 18 that are all female, and I think it's going to be an incredible championship to see how that progresses as well.
Have you ever had to deal with the patronising comments and or ignor, or your dad was perhaps to ignore the patronising?
More the fact that your dad had to ignore it.
That's like I'm guessing that's been a thing for you.
I think karting was a lot worse. I don't know if it still is, but karting was a lot worse. I think it was usually the dads saying to their son, "Don't you dare be beaten by the girl," and that would be more, And that's I think it's hilarious, and you'd hear it all the time. But social media is a bit of a one for it. If you get the online keyboard warriors, don't you? And she should be better off in the kitchen. I get that quite a lot. And like YouTube videos, for some reason, the comments in a YouTube video was just such a weird space.
It's like a jealousy thing. It's like a bloke sitting there going, I can't do that. How can she go that quick around the track when not realising that, like you said, it's an equal playing field, level playing field. So they feel like they've got to attack.
Yeah.
And I don't get it.
It's funny. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
If I could comment back something funny every time, I absolutely would. I just think it's so funny.
So I mean, in terms of that, you'll get it even naturally, even people that won't even need to be. I bet the amount of time that you've been introduced as a female racing driver instead of a racing driver. You know what I mean? Like that sort of thing, that natural sort of stuff, I think, because, lights coming up. That natural sort of subtlety about it. But then also you get, the absolute keyboard warriors that everyone gets to a certain degree, who's just haters, and the fact that you're female in a predominantly what's been traditionally a massively sort of male dominated sport, you're going to get it more. But do you get is there any sort of, did your dad have to sit you down at some point? Did anyone have to sit you down at some point and be like, right, you're going into this, you're going to get a bit of heat? Or was it just kind of, you just had to deal with it?
It is what it is, isn't it? If you want to do it, then you're going to have to put up with it. And I think there's an element of, once you prove yourself, you kind of, well, even like with drivers, I think sometimes, when you move into something new, you almost have to prove yourself, maybe perhaps more than a man would. And I think even when you join something new, you don't expect to be right at the front to start with. But I think if you join and you are further towards the tail end, it's more noticeable because people think, oh, it's a girl, she's at the back. It's not just, if you had a twin brother, no one would think, oh, well, the twin boy is at the back. They'd think, well, he's new and he's, he's breaking into it. But, so it's definitely a different thought process. And you just have to prove yourself. And with time, I think naturally that happens, doesn't it? It's just one of those things. And I think you can change people's opinions. It just happens over time. It's not going to happen overnight. Being
a racing driver, you mainly do it on track, right? Like that's how you do change people's mind. I think. Wow. It's I forgot what I was going to say. Go on.
I mean, there's nothing like going out on track and you just have to prove yourself. That's the thing. You haven't got any choice. Like, if you want to do this, you want to be the best at it, as best as you can be. You're going to beat people. Sometimes you're going to lose, sometimes you're going to win. And I think, but it's a real funny dynamic because there's like having a daughter, the daughter's 13. So I definitely have got that sort of mentality. It's like, look, things are getting a lot better. For girls being able to sort of go into everything. There's still a long way to go. I definitely do think that, but at the same time, it's getting a lot better. But I just always wondered about that whole thing, like how much did you have to sort of embrace? But it sounds like you've not even thought about it. You've not even made it a thing. You've just cracked on and let your driving do the talking and be like, well, I'm going to either be accepted or not, but I'm not really bothered if I am or not. I'm just going to do it.
Yeah, you're there to do a job, really, at the end of the day, aren't you? It's just, it is what it is. If I'll work as hard as I possibly can, and if you get there, you get there, and if you don't, you don't. But I don't think it's been my gender that's made that happen or not made that happen. It just, you've got to throw everything into it and do as much as you can. Yeah. But I think the female football, the women's football recently has definitely changed the thought process, not even just for football, but for anything sport. And I think that's been a bit of a turning point for me personally, I think.
I think it's opened a lot of people's eyes to what's available and what levels that can be reached and everything, and being on an equal playing field as such, because the support and everything for women's football has been huge. And like I said, you can see it through all the stats of girls playing football and everything. It's just gone through the roof. And I totally agree. I think that has gone all the way through sport.
I think it's the exposure to it, isn't it, though? If you don't get exposure to something, like for me, when I was young, I had no female role models in motorsport. There was nobody to look at. Maybe Susie Wolf, I think, from memory, but that was it. Whereas now, like when you turn on the touring cars, you've got women in the support packages and things. And like with the football, we're now seeing it on TV. It's accessible. And that
helps. So do you realise that you are that role model, though?
No, well, I don't like to think of it. No, not at all.
We're going to get a quote.
At the same time, was it brands you had a reverse you started on pole? That race I put on and Tilly watched. And the point of realising what is, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you are, and that is amazing. That must be such a good feeling because of what you've
what you are achieving on younger girls as well.
Yeah. Well, it's not just on track though. It's like the mechanics and team owners and everyone in the marketing side. You know, it's becoming so much more accessible. I think. I mean, a few years ago, you'd have not really seen any female mechanics or anything. So it's treading through the different aspects of motorsport as well, which is nice.
It really is. Yeah.
Well, Haas F1, wasn't it?
Yes,
they just realised they got the first female engineer.
Female engineer. And am I right in thinking we were the first female JCW podium?
Yeah. Yes.
Drop that in. Drop that in.
On Insta bio.
Stats here. I'm joking. Just pick that up.
So that was a nice moment.
Talk to me about that moment, because obviously you've been in minis for a long time, and it came out. I remember you being absolutely beaming on the way over to Crazy Carts, which I probably into doing that. You're like, why have I done this now? I think you were being interviewed at the time. I think Phoebe got an interview with you on the way over there and stuff like that. How was that, and how was Dad when you got there?
Dad was crying, and I have never seen my dad cry. But my dad, and you'd have thought I'd have won. Honestly, the way they all reacted, and I was obviously so happy. But I think it's because we are family run, and we've put so much into it. And don't get me wrong, like everyone's putting a lot of effort to be there, 100%. But when my dad's slaving away till stupid hours to get that car ready to be there, and
that's made everything worthwhile. That extra
100%. And Dave's taking time off work. Well, my mum and Dave are taking time off work to come, and they don't have a weekend. They go back to work on Monday morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, and you just think like, wow. And they don't, I'm not paying them because I don't have the budget to pay them, and they're doing it for the love, and that's what a moment. That's so nice.
It was. I saw how happy you were. You were very happy about being in the crazy car after.
No, well, I thought I was going to lose my ankle. I thought this should be done a Sunday evening, not Saturday.
Walking over with your trophy and everything. I was like, Lydia, you got to pay this. So it was. I remember everyone being over the moon. Sort of massive congratulations to you. And it was brilliant. But talk to me then about. I mean, you just mentioned it then. Sponsorship. Something else that's finding all about sponsorship is you, Tommy, as well. So you can give me your 10 pence worth as well. But we've talked about it, right? It's every driver we've spoken to. Does it? You'd think after 7 years within motorsport and stuff, it gets easier. I mean, is it getting easier?
No. I mean, there's more to sell now than there were 7 years ago. 7 years ago, Mini Challenge wasn't on Toker Package or anything. So, but then the budget was smaller. As soon as Minis joined Toker Package, the entry fee went up, understandably, but the entry fee went up. Parts prices were ebbing and flowing, I suppose. But the biggest thing was the entry fee, because you're paying for the GV now, which is just, that's not a championship problem. That's just a natural thing of being on the package. And that just made it, you've got more to sell, I suppose. When you're going to a sponsor, it's easier to say, look, I'm racing on ITV4, this many people come to the track, that sort of thing. But then the budget just goes through the roof. And every year it just gets bigger, because there'll always be someone spending the money, and you have to try and keep up. And don't get me wrong, like our budget was half what everyone else's was last year, without a doubt. Just because, my dad's doing it, I wasn't paying people to do the work. But we weren't really going testing. It was, we were having our minimum tyre quota, and that was it. It was just, it's hard work, and sponsorship is tough. And there's so many people. Like, we went to the Autosport the other day to try and find some sponsorship, and obviously it's got a lot smaller over the last few years. And you've got every driver going and speaking to the exact same people, and you think, how? There's only so many differences that I can bring, And it's just the same pool of companies and the same drivers going to the same people, and it's hard. And I think with the current economic climate and things, it certainly doesn't help.
That's a massive factor.
I mean, you had COVID, and then we had something else, and now we've got the
like a financial crisis in every single news story I've ever.
People aren't sure what's happening, so they want to keep hold of money. You want to keep money in the bank as a business, really. And I get it, I understand it. But it's like you say, it's pointing out the opportunities, and it's finding the right people that actually understand the opportunities as well. And offering something different. It's seeing what you can do, not just at the track. Hospitality is great and everything for them weekends, but it's the B2B side, the networking side. And there's which is what we're trying to do at Narrow Motorsport, is actually create stuff off track for the partners that we bring on, If you can do things off track that creates a business network,
there's so much more to it.
Yeah.
The sponsorship, the actual sticker on a car becomes the secondary. It's what you do with the introductions. Everyone promises a world of introductions. Everyone promises the world of introductions. And if you do it right and you have a way of doing it, it works well. But there has to be that, you have to have that network to be able to do the introductions, right? So trying to create something like that is the way forward, I feel.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's trying to sell something on the side that brings them in.
It's definitely changed massively over the last few years, sponsorship, I think.
Yeah.
Like, it used to be the sticker on the car. Then it became, all social media. And now it's so much more than that. Yeah. Like you say, like the introductions and what connections can you make between companies. And that's when it almost has to become more like a business. And it's not, like motorsport, it's not a hobby anymore. And it hasn't been for a very long time, but it has to be treated as a business now. And you can't, you can't get emotional about it because it is a business and you have to think of it as one. And
companies want a ROI, they want their return on investment. They want to see how that's even possible. Yeah. And it's very hard in motorsport to quantify that, a return on investment. Very hard, especially when you're on TV and you're in many people's eyes. You could get a phone call that they've seen on TV, but they have nothing to do with, I mention it. So, seeing the brand exposure and at the same time, building a driver as a brand, yourself as a brand. So a lot of people don't realize, turn around again to Tilly, she's 12. So you've got to build yourself as a brand online in a way. I know you're 12 and I'll run it for you, obviously, all these different accounts and different things that she needs to run, whatever. It has to be brand, like she has to be the brand. And it's what you can offer businesses to be able to build their brand through your brand. And if you work it right, it can work, but you just need to get the right people to understand it, to go, actually, we could do something quite big here and it could benefit them massively. If it benefits them, then you're in. And then it's long-term thinking as well. Short-term thinking with sponsors doesn't work. You'll see someone on the grid for 6 months and they'll disappear, right? And you've seen it many times through the paddocks, many times. If you have a long-term plan with sponsorship, okay, right, this is what we're offering you. This is what we can help you with this year. But the plan is that this is my 3-year plan. This is how I want to help your business. You kind of work for them in a way, right? That is the plan. Like you say, it's a business. And that's how they all perceive it and look at it. And if you actually take that and go, right, put a plan together of how you're going to benefit them as a company, then they'll stick around for 5-10 years. And that's what you want. You want to be able to get to September and say, look, hope you've enjoyed this year, or even November or these days. Hope you've enjoyed the year. Like, just want to get your idea on next year because we've got these plans in place. Just, if you are interested, please let me know sooner rather than later. And we can talk about how over the winter, and that's the important part, over the winter, how can we actually take this to the next level? And then go into the next season on the front foot, and then appreciate the fact of that off-track work that you're willing to put in over that winter point.
Yeah. I mean, when do you get to a stage where you realise that you are essentially selling yourself as you're saying like to people, well, invest in me rather than over there. Like you just said, you went to Autosport. There's loads of people trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, it's not happening anymore.
Look at that Porsche or that. Do they come over here? It's really, so
pushing other drivers out of the way.
Exactly. And there is you've got a faithful following on social media. You put yourself out there. You're obviously in control of that. Just like you're independent. You haven't got any people sort of telling you what to do. It was all coming from you. So have you always found that quite challenging? You're quite natural at selling yourself, as it were? Or
no,
not?
I'm not fair. I never used to be very good at telling people why they should pick me.
Right.
They should literally hand you cash.
Yeah, it'd be nice if you could, but no worries if not. And you have to learn to be quite out there, I think, and just it's a pitch. It's a sales pitch. When you go in and speak to a potential sponsor, you have to tell them every reason why you're the person that they should go with. And I did used to find that very difficult. I used to take my dad with me when I was young. younger, just so that, because he obviously found it easier to be like, this is the best thing that you've ever seen in your life. And it's so hard, I think. But, with social media, everywhere I go, I have a photo and I don't enjoy it. It's awkward. You stood in front of people, everyone's looking at you, they're wondering who on earth is this person, but you have to have the photo to keep people interested. And that's, you just have to swallow your pride and get on with it, because if you want something, you have to pick up the phone and speak to that and have that really awkward, horrible conversation.
It's also, I think, if you don't ask, you don't get, right?
No. Exactly.
And what's the worst that's going to happen if you don't ask the question?
Well, you're going to say no, aren't they? Yeah.
I mean, okay. But if you don't ask, you won't know that.
No, exactly.
So it's always worth asking that question.
Yeah, it's just a funny thing. Obviously, you get to a point, then hopefully people just come to you. That's the dream.
That would be nice.
That's the dream.
My God,
that's the actual dream. But
talking dirty to me.
Before that, there's a lot of graft that has to go in, and like I say, I don't think. I mean, even like we've got businesses. We've got businesses. I've never been someone that's like, we'll say we're good at to a point of view, but over egging it, I always find a little bit awkward. I always like the work to sort of talk for itself, kind of thing. Whereas I guess you could be like, well, just watch my highlights here and watch what I do on socials. I don't really want to get involved. Just tell me how much you want to give me. It's really, really difficult, and because it's so competitive, I can only imagine how hard it is. But then, like you said, from a marketing point of view, there's then standing out as a female in your sport. Does that help to a degree or not really?
I don't think so. I don't find sponsorship is not falling off my desk.
No,
I'm not, I've run on a limited budget, and that's not through choice. That's, if I had more money, I'd obviously spend more money. So no, I think it's more of a selling point. Everyone wants to be diverse these days, and that's great. Don't get me wrong. But I think getting people to part with money is very hard, whoever you are.
Hard either way,
I don't.
There's definitely an angle to play.
And
for sure.
It's not even playing on it. It's just it's the way of the world at the moment, and absolutely. I think companies want to open up their doors, and almost even brands that just tailor to a male audience. If they start sponsoring a female driver, suddenly they've got a whole new fan base that might be looking at their brand.
They're the ones you want, because they're the potential sponsors that are thinking outside the box a bit. And that's exactly what I like to do. And you go, right, let's do something different. Yeah. We're a freight company that I know obviously you've had support in the same industry before. And there's many of them that are about, but they're doing it on a smaller level than what, say, we've done it. And they're bigger companies. So it's been bigger for us to be as an investment side. But it's given us such an opportunity to then take that next step. And that's the point. That's what sponsors need to see, is that potential next step of why they're doing it. It's not just a sticker on the car and having a picture and posting it on LinkedIn on a Monday morning. It's going, what can we then utilize from it and push off that and try and create niches through whatever industry you're in. But at the same time, racing drivers shouldn't have to be salesmen. You should do what you do behind the wheel of a car. That's why I did Mero Motorsport, because I wanted to take that away. I enjoy sales. I enjoy them phone calls. I don't. I think it's great fun. But at the same time, so I did that and raced to scratch an itch sort of thing, to sort of enjoy it and feel what it was about. And wow, it is insanely addictive. And I can see why people turn around and go, I need to try and find money to do this again. Because it's an addictive feeling. But at the same time, you want to be concentrating on that. You don't want to have to worry about, I can't put my nose in here because I haven't got the money to fix it, which you do get. And you see people have that issue of going, I can't make that little lunge that I kind of want to make because I'm worried I won't make the next round. That's a horrible feeling and position to be in. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, to try and help people and you concentrate on racing, and we'll attempt, because it's no guarantees, to be able to get your budget to be able to get you where you want to be. But yeah, again, like you say, with social media wise, you do have to take that picture and put yourself out there.
Yeah.
You just and consistently.
Yeah, that's it.
But yeah.
There's a lot of luck involved in motorsport as well, I think. There's certain times where it's just not going to happen. And that's just the way it is. I think everything, this is very, very cynical, but I think everything is written out. And, you know, your journey is your journey and it's going to happen, obviously, if you work hard, but it's going to happen or it's not going to happen. And I just think everything's already written out anyway. So there's a lot of luck involved. And also, if you're speaking to someone, particularly in the automotive industry, you've got to guarantee that there's probably 2-3 other people that are also chatting to the same company at the same time. You just have to try and set yourself out a little bit more. But it's definitely hard. But when you get a sponsor sign up, it makes it all worthwhile for sure.
Course, yeah.
So, it's a good feeling once you do that.
And I think there's what you see is the relationship side of thing. When sponsors stick with you, must be lovely, because you know they're not just. Like I say, there's a commercial sort of responsibility you have to them, and it needs to work for them and all that sort of stuff. But when they stick with you and stay with you, you know, they must be like, they are really invested in my journey. You know, they're not only like the person, like you said, when you're invested in someone and when you've done sponsorship, you've got to enjoy it. You've got to want to do it. You know, you've got to be behind that journey. You know, when you talk about when you went to Southampton, you know what I mean? It made sense, obviously, financially at that time, and it has to. But at the same time, if you didn't enjoy it, if you didn't like what you're about, you didn't like the people that you were going with, you didn't, you know, if your company, even if your staff didn't buy into it, you know what I mean? And you had really good relationships with Draper and all this sort of, if that didn't work, you were like, it's just another sticker on another thing, you know what I mean? And it's you've got to enjoy it. You know, we've got companies that there's some people, I didn't really enjoy it, and you can tell it lasted a year. You're like, why aren't you doing that anymore? So I can tell you didn't even really enjoy it. You know, you didn't even want to go. You weren't invested in the team or the story or whatever. You just slapped your sticker on there, but that's only going to last a little while. So you must have some faithful sponsors that sort of stuck with you and for a few years, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so I mean, it must be such a nice feeling, like they're actually invested in you as opposed to just going into motorsport.
Yes, it's lovely. And I think especially if they've never been involved in motorsport before, they might not know. You have to bring them in and make them a part of it. Yeah. And if you don't do that, then all right, they'll tune in on ITV4 on a Sunday, but they don't feel it. You don't, it's different. Yeah, when you're stood there watching everything go on, you see, you know, what's going on in the back. Yeah, the just all the senses are going, and you don't get that from the TV. Like, it's brilliant, but you don't see that on the TV. Yeah. You have to bring them in, get them involved, almost make them feel it, and then they're invested, and they want to see you do as well. I mean, of course, they want you to do one anyway, but it's like a different drive.
And you can do it with motorsport in that fact, that sense of when you bring them to the track. They can sit in the car if you want. You know what I mean? You can offer that ability to get right up close and show them around and see what you do. And do you know what I mean? Like lots of sports, you can't do that. Actually, you can with motorsport. Give quite an in-depth. Do you know what I mean?
It's very accessible.
Yeah, exactly. It's that's what I really like about it. Everyone, you see little kids' faces. I was at Silverstone when I was literally on the grid and my clutch blew out. So I was like, I got pushed.
I remember that
one. I got pushed off. I come back. My car's come back in, and I think it was one of Dom's sponsors was there, and his kid was there. And Dom said to me, "He's like, mate, would you? I know you're in a bad mood and stuff because you literally, you should be out there." He said, "But would you mind if I could just show the little boy the car?" I was like, no problem. I opened up the doors, spoken through stuff, and I loved that. Yeah. I love that ability to see his face was just lit up. He was sitting in a race car, like, it's a Mini Cooper, but it's a race car, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Of course, 100%.
So I love that.
I'm going to talk to you about now Minis. You've done for so long. They crash a lot.
Yeah.
What is going on with you? Like, Tommy, you had a bit of this earlier in the year. Yeah. Straight. What was it? Let's talk about your straight on. Was it your straight on into? Was it Donington? Like,
where was that?
Tires. Was it?
No, that was bottom of Cranes.
Was it? Yeah.
Oh yeah, we've all been there.
Didn't warm my tires up. That was my first day. No, second race.
Yes.
Just didn't get enough heat. 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So what possessed you to do these mini? I mean, we put the highlight video for the awards night. We put
Yeah.
the highlight videos. Finding a crash is not easy. It's not a hard task, to be honest. When these guys are like, where the crashes are, just watch a couple of races and you'll see it.
5 minutes in, you'll see 3.
Flipping over on the roof and everything like that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but you've been there for quite a while.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the thing is, I came from Citroen Saxos, junior Saxos, so a load of 14-year-olds that could not drive, probably including myself, to be fair. And we were all, well, I was trying not to, but everyone was sort of driving into your door and everything. So when we went into Mini Coopers, and the grid was smaller than it is now, it wasn't as popular or anything, but it was a lot more civilised.
Yeah.
In comparison, so I think we were eased in gently.
Oh,
but then when we got to JCW, it was a whole different ball game. I think,
Cooper was mad. That was a one eye opener for me last year.
Yeah,
massively.
Yeah,
going to take one at Silverstone. Even I just remember it's just like I lost both mirrors. I was like, oh great. I was like, that helps. I was like, thanks.
Yeah.
Just
all sorts on their roofs and flipping over and everything, all crazy. Is there a particular crash that you've had that lives in the memory? Is there something you've had where you're like, that was a scary moment?
Yeah, I've been upside down in a Saxo.
Okay.
So that was quite fun. At Not Kill. Yeah, at 15, I think. Yeah. At Not Kill. One of the oh my gosh, that was the worst one ever. Because that was in testing, so we hadn't even raced or anything. I'd done it all on my own.
Was that the sausage curbs at Not Kill?
Yeah, just before the chicane, I literally launched myself over the sausage curb and literally just rolled and rolled and rolled. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you couldn't write the car off as such because the cages were welded in, as I said earlier, but it may as well have been. And we went home and it was on the open back trailer, and literally we were driving home from Not Kill down here, and everyone was just looking in like, oh my gosh, what has happened to this car? It was honestly horrendous.
So that was a big one. That was a big one.
Yeah. But I mean, I've had biggies. Yeah. I think everyone has. I don't think if you've been racing long enough, you're going to have a biggie at some point.
Does it do anything that you just straight back in? Like, don't even think about it. Does it do anything to your confidence levels?
I think so. I think you'd be lying if you said it didn't.
Okay.
But with the Saxo, I borrowed another car and that broke. But I got in probably an hour later, and if I'd have had the 6 weeks off, I probably would have felt worse getting back in than I did then. But I think it does knock your confidence. But at the end of the day, crashing is part of motorsport, and if you're worried about crashing, you certainly shouldn't be racing. Yeah. It's just a nature of the beast. At some point, you're going to get unlucky. So it is what it is.
This year, it was it
John Castle.
Was it Albert John?
Oh, John. I coached John.
Albert Pete's on the way down.
Oh yeah.
Because they cut.
Yeah.
Couldn't see any footage of it.
He just came out that first sort of king. I think he just said he came off the throttle too much.
First round. I swear.
It happened so quick. And because minis are quite short, so the wheelbase is so short that they're naturally twitchy anyway.
Yeah.
So if you have a lift off the power, obviously front wheel drive, you shouldn't be doing that anyway. But if you do for whatever reason, they're round so quick. Yeah. And if there's anywhere with gravel, if you go in sideways, you're on your roof.
They'll flip. They have to just flip.
Yeah. So
that was one thing Roland said to me. Like the first day I got in the car, I came down the Bentley straight at Snet, and literally as I've come in, I've just released too much. No, it was the bomb oil. And as I go in, you go, this shouldn't stick. Like the natural thing is, I know you've done it for a long time. When you haven't and you jump into it, you show this shouldn't stick. So I just released it just too much. And before you even know it, you're facing the wrong way. Yeah. I was like, oh, okay.
If you've got any steering lock on, it's game over.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah, you have to be quite committed with front wheel drive.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that big one was John Castle and Joshua will be at the bottom of the hill, wasn't it?
That was
Eaton.
Yeah.
That was a biggie.
That's nasty.
Yeah. Seriously, sometimes we're watching it, we're like, oh, minis have gone in again.
But then it shows how safe the cars are because everyone walks away and they go and get checked over, and they're on the majority of the time they're all right. So it's they're built well.
Okay, so have you had any moments where, how do I put it, you wanted to get out of the car and take someone's head off? because of what they...
Or do you ask the question, have you had any times that you haven't got out of the car and wanted to knock someone's head off?
Literally, where you're like, right, I'm going to remember that one.
Most of the time I'm quite good at dealing with my emotions, I think. Yeah. I don't really... no. No, not really. No, I mean, when we were in Coopers, we were at a point. It was the COVID year, so it was a shortened season. But we went into the final round with the capability of winning the championship, and there was 30 cars on the grid. It was like a big deal.
Yeah.
And we were still. I think we were in race 2 or 3, still winning it. And I got taken out, and that was it. And I finished in the barrier, and that was game over. And that was a hard one to swallow, I think. But it's not just me. Like my parents and everything that put so much into it. It's just that you build yourself up so long, and I think the final round got delayed because there was a lockdown or something, so you waited so long. We ended up doing it in December. It was stupid. We were on slick tires and it was like -5. It was horrendous. But yeah,
ice rink.
Literally,
You
and
got taken out.
yeah, and it's one of them things.
You
but
got taken out by who? By who?
Can you remember?
Drop it in the comments. It's the nature of motorsport, and most of the time it's luck, isn't it? If you win the championship, like of course you've been good enough to be there, but it's luck.
Was it we said this before, where motorsport's mainly sort of downs with the odd high, right?
Yeah.
Because one person wins.
Anyone.
You know, so okay, you can have a good race and come going, okay, all right, but maybe I could have done this, because everyone's so hard on themselves. But you know, you go and you check your data, going, should have done this or should have done that, and it's not I did this and actually it was decent. I had a good race. You're always coming up unless you've won it or got the podium. So that you know. It's always the case. Why do we do it?
Well, it's such a mind game, isn't it?
Massive,
I think motorsport is mostly your mind. It's not all about like how well you can drive. If your mind's not there, you're never doing well.
So there's not going to be a Lydia Walmsley storming down the paddock winning.
No, you will never see that. No. You and there was
capture that.
No, well, at the first round last year, I ended up in the gravel, and I was having quite a good race. And I think the camera pans to me, and I had this. I was stood the other side of the catch fencing next to my car, and there was no one there, and I had this face of thunder on, and I thought that's just shown me, because I could see the camera. I didn't know that I was getting filmed, and it wasn't bad or anything. You could just tell I was disappointed and angry, but I was like, that just teaches me, like, even if you can't see the camera's seeing you. You just can't.
That's what Tom's like, usually. Like, you just wouldn't know.
You have to be, because it can ruin you in seconds.
I guess mentality wise.
And everyone's got a camera now, so you'd never do it without being seen. It's just it's like.
And that's another thing of being a racing driver, isn't it? You've got to realise that you're putting yourself in a position that fans are coming to watch. They're going to take pictures. They're going to be filming. You're on TV. You've got to realise that if someone puts a microphone under your nose just right after you've had a smash, which always makes me laugh, because you can see the face, but you can see their emotion in eyes.
Every sport, though, isn't it? Like boxers just got knocked out. Camera, like you've just lost the World Cup final. Camera and mic in your face. It's literally, and I quite like. It's going the other way now. I think it's like Jason Plato sort of era. I was like, I don't care, whatever, like that, that kind of thing. And then it's gone, no, we need to be corporate and professional. But you slightly see it the other way now, because social media and phones and podcasts and people are being very honest. And people are literally, they're crying out for that bit of realism. They're crying out for that little bit of, I want to see a bit of emotion. I want to see that. And I want to see that actually you're not the most professional. You're going to drive to survive, I'm pretty sure.
But that's what I'm worried about. The F1, the Drive to Survive has helped with a lot of people getting into motorsport, right? And just being interested in it. And they've just released the thing about the misconduct. But you could theoretically lose a world championship because you've sworn. Like, you could be deducted points.
Yeah. Oh, what with this? Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You have to be so careful.
You've got to be careful, but at the same time, like, that you can hear what they're saying while they're driving. So does that count while you're driving as well? Surely not.
Well, what if Verstappen got massively told up? Like,
but yeah, he had to do some community service sort of style stuff.
It was ridiculous. I genuinely was like, what did he do? I missed it. And I read it. I was like, is that it? Like, what we do? But they can't have both ways, can they? I mean, sure. Like, how would you be? We've talked about this with touring car drivers. How would you be with all the mini drivers, or Porsche now, being completely mic'd up, radios on the TV, and we can hear what you all say?
Well, I wouldn't want to know what everyone else said about me. That would be the main anything.
Is that your main worry? What I was saying about you?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to hear it. But I don't actually. I never say anything. If I'm having an accident, it might be like, oh, that's like, but other than that, I know there's nothing that you would not get anything out of me.
Really?
Yeah.
So even if you had
Talking of that, I got a GoPro and put it on Tilly's helmet and went round Q Leisure the other week. And I think she spun it. And I know we can swear on here. She's 12. She spun it, faced the wrong way within 2 laps. Went, oh fuck! I went, Tilly.
Yeah, you wouldn't get that out of me.
Because you just can't do it. I mean, God, if you mic'd up footballers, Jesus, it would just be bleep, bleep, bleep the whole time.
Exactly.
But in motorsport, they kind of think, but then we spoke to a couple of other touring car drivers, they were like, we want it on there. You know, I think it would be hilarious if it was.
It'd be mega.
I think it would be funny.
That would be mega.
Brilliant. I think it would be so funny. I think there's a very quick delay in terms of they've got to quickly vet it and then put it up and type it up.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be usable, would it? Let's be honest, a lot of it would not be usable.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, oh, thank you so much. It's not going to be like that, is
You
it?
actually look at the likes of, I'll go back to Formula 1, but likes of Raikkonen, for example, his whole persona was built off his radio.
Yeah, it was.
Do you know what I mean? Like who he was, and people related to and liked him because of his radio.
Well,
and Lando even.
I think
some of his silly ones.
Who was it? If you looked at Bottas when he was Hamilton's teammate.
Yeah.
And now if you look at Bottas,
I know, it's brilliant.
I mean, you're like, that is two different men. Because it's almost like gloves are off. I'll be me, unapologetically, and I know they're in a fortunate position of being at the pinnacle, right? Where perhaps money's no object to them and all this sort of stuff. But it is a funny one. I don't know, is there still that pressure of be professional and corporate on your socials? Or is
you have to be very political. Even you post race, post social media posts, you can't, you have to be, sit on the fence almost. And but I don't think that's a bad thing at all. Because I just think it from my point of view, I think if someone were to read my post and I was, slagging everyone off, at the end of the day, you have to take some level of accountability for what's happened over the course of a race weekend. And I think that's nice when people do that, but you can't be blaming everyone else. There's an element of, could the weekend have gone better because of something that we could have done differently? 100%. And it's not always someone else's fault. And I just think if you start behaving in that way, people look at you and just say, oh, well, she's just a moaner, isn't she?
I think if you start playing the blame game and everything, then it looks
look
bad.
good.
But I think there's a balance of having fun with your socials at racetracks. Where I did it with Harvey, when him doing the hop to the thing with his car, like over the mayoral sponsor. By the end of that weekend, he had 162,000 views.
Yeah.
Just because we did something silly. And then when we were racing, we did an American football skit and got 25,000 within 24 hours. And you're just like, it was just something different at a racetrack.
Yeah.
And it just clicked. It's not putting out there being anything that's not PC.
No.
It's just doing something a little bit fun.
And
I think it's balancing it. But at the same time, when you're speaking about actually what happened on track, that's when you do have to be very,
100%.
correct with things.
It's a weird one, actually, because I've got my video content hound, and I'm like, I want these lot to go nuts for each other. You know what I mean? There was one where someone absolutely slammed Jason Player and called him an imbecile and everything like that. So I was like, this is brilliant. Like, this is what you want. But at the same time, you can't have anyone not be authentic and not be themselves. So if you're the type of person, actually very similar to Tom or something like that, who's very much like, no, I'm quite reserved. I'm not that person to sort of do that. It's really, you can see through it if they sort of ramped it up, if they told you to turn it up a notch. And I think it's a balancing act, but that's the way it's going. It's so weird now to see all these podcasts and all these things filmed, put on social media where people are being brutally honest. Obviously ex-footballers and ex-racing drivers, because they can say what they want now, they're tired. But yeah, I'm just wondering how far it will go. Like, before you know it, they'll be like, anything for a beer. And you're getting into that stony ground, like, just give us 100,000 hits, or give us 1 million hits, and you can do what you want. And there is a little bit of decorum still to be upheld, I guess, within motorsport.
Especially then when you're racing, you're going from minis to Porsche as well. So you're representing the brand
completely
as well.
different. Yeah, Porsche's got a level of expectation, right?
Yeah.
Not so.
I think there's quite a vetting process before you can join. They definitely look into you and make sure that you're right for the brand, 100%.
So, but so let's talk about future plans. We always go with future plans. It's hard to plan, I guess. And how far ahead are you with your dad and planning out a sort of map and teams that you're with? Are you season to season, or do you try and have a 3, 4, 5 year plan?
I think it's very hard when you're on your own, because it's not like, I don't know, for example, Accelerate. If you're in an Accelerate Mini, there's that ladder. You can see there could potentially be something. Whereas obviously we've always been on our own, and to be fair, halfway through one season, we won't really know what we're doing the following season, because we don't know whether we've got the money to do it. So I've always got goals for sure, but to be fair, 2 years ago, I would not have thought I'd be doing Porsches this year. And I think it's nice to have that kind of element of flexibility and what you're happy to do. Right? Yeah. But no, in terms, I know where I want to be. Yeah. But I think making that happen is a challenge. Yeah.
What's the goal? What's the?
I always used to say touring cars. 100%. When I was younger, I was like, touring cars is the one. And it still is. Like, if I always said, if I finished my career and I hadn't done touring cars, I'd say I'd not done motorsport. Like, I haven't succeeded in life. But obviously, I don't feel that way now, because we've achieved a lot. But I think there's different avenues. Like, I've never really looked at British GT and thought, I really want to do that. I still want to stay on the Toka package, really, ideally. But I think racing a Porsche definitely opens up different doors. It's more the GT racing kind of route. But I still love to end up in touring car. And as much as I watch it and I think, it's a lot of money and all this. But I just think when you go to British touring cars, you're going there to watch that. Yeah. And the support packages are great, don't get me wrong, but touring cars is that main event, isn't it? It's what everyone is there to see. And I would love to do that, but at the end of the day, it might not happen, mightn't it? But you have to stay optimistic.
100%.
I'm still young enough.
As well. You've got to have that goal of where you want to be. I think you'd be silly. Yes, of course, everything's, again, reliant back to sponsorship and money. But if you don't have that goal, then you don't really know. But you do have to be flexible and adapt to it. Like you say, British GT, you've got European GT, you've got all the other options as well. Being in the Porsche, that it literally sets you up for about 10 different avenues you could take, which is amazing. Yeah. And it's amazing that Porsche have that ability to have the championships that they have to offer that opportunity.
Well, I'm going in at the club sport level. So the next logical step would be the RS, which is obviously on the same grid. It's just a slightly different car. So I think for me, next couple of years, I want to be in that, and then we'll see where it goes from there. But we'll see.
Here we go. Yeah. Walmsley on the side of a touring car. I can see it now.
Well, it would be nice. Whether it happens, we'll see.
I can see it now. Right, okay. I think that... How long will we go? 6. Limit.
Mental. Crazy.
Right.
Just the pies.
We've got to ask you, if I'm asking you what a savoury pie is your favourite kind of pie. Are you a pie person?
No, I hate pies. I don't know if that's a deal breaker.
Everyone's the same.
I really don't. I don't
have to start asking this question. Do you like pies?
Yeah.
No, you can't come on the podcast. No, I don't do mince pies or anything.
No pies?
I could do a pork pie, but it depends jelly to pork ratio. If there's too much jelly, it's
I can't do jelly in a pork pie.
Yeah, so
I'm with her on that.
Very fussy.
Don't like jelly in a pork pie?
No, it's not slippery at all.
I can't imagine you're very fussy about your pies.
Why?
No, I'm not saying no, wait, I'm not. You are very
I think he was implying something there.
No, I was not. No. There's a lot more. I've eaten a lot more pies than you.
I do like a pork pie, but not jelly. Then
I'll eat a pie though. In
terms of sweet pie, is there a sweet pie that you choose?
No.
Would you have an apple pie and custard?
No, I don't like custard. Can't do custard.
No, I'm with.
She doesn't like custard.
I'm the same. I have ice cream every time.
Yeah.
You don't like custard, either of you?
No.
Not really.
I think it's back to school when I used to get in and there was like a silver jug full of custard.
And there was chunks in it.
And it was like a layer on top. It was like skin, you just sort of like flop out. You're like,
you can't have to judge it on the school custard.
Yeah, but it tarnishes you for the rest of your life.
Come on, did you see custard like milk?
Yeah.
I mean, every time we ask someone a sweet pie, they always say crumble, which is not a pie.
Agreed.
Is it?
Yeah.
No.
No pies at all. Not even a steak and
No.
Steak and kidney?
Steak and ale.
No.
Steak and ale.
Steak
Oh,
and
do
ale.
you know what? I quite
Steak
like a chicken pie actually. If you think like puff pastry and
Yeah,
all that, yeah, I can do one of them.
You could do a
yeah,
chicken
I can do
pie.
one of them. Yeah. That's my limit.
Bring it in.
Chicken pie.
And here's what we made it. Yeah.
Chicken pie. Well, we won't make you eat any pies.
No, I can
However,
eat a pie.
You can eat pie. Go on, eat
I-
pie, something.
You go.
Go somewhere.
What flavours have we got here?
There's definitely an apple and black.
Yeah,
There should be.
we got a guess.
So no, on the top you see just apple, and then this is like an apple and blackcurrant or whatever it is.
Apple and blackcurrant.
Right, what's these bad boys?
That is a toffee bakewell.
Right, let's have one of them.
I think I'm going to go toffee bakewell because I've had enough. All I do is eat the apple pies.
Yeah.
We would have liked the pork pie, but no, I'm not doing it in one before you even say. However, it's tradition, Lydia, that we do it in one.
The pinky's out, everyone. There we go.
Let's have a little look. This is just going to be us eating.
Cheers, Will.
Okay. Oh. My favourite sweet.
A bit sweet.
No, but
I like that.
I think a bakewell. I like the fruitiness. You again?
Yeah, I like that.
Jury's out for me.
Not bad.
I think it's average. Must be better, Charlie, than the pies.
I'd rate it like a 6.
6, yeah.
Yeah. 6.
It is very sweet.
Room for improvement.
We got too many of them, didn't you?
The actual topping tastes like you're eating sugar.
Yeah, genuinely, like treacle. You've gone in,
This
though.
is not good for the racing diet, I tell you. I'm done thinking salads and now I'm eating one of these things.
This is it.
Not bad.
Charlie, I'll get the pies next time.
Thanks for that.
That's right. Yeah.
Lovely
But
little
I'll probably
ending to
eat the
that.
whole thing. I had one bite. That
That's
has
a pathetic.
that has
you know,
not gone down well.
I don't even bite.
Toffee. It was a real little bite, isn't it?
you should be ashamed. It's your pie podcast and you've had a little nibble.
This is. Don't get these. Don't get these. I'm not a fan. Sorry, mate.
You've got stuff on your tube, haven't you?
They're all right.
Well,
You know,
the best ones were the hog ones, the hog roast ones.
The hot roast pork pies. They were good.
That was
but
one.
like a little bit of pickle.
Yeah.
Pork and pickle. We've lost Lydia. Is that one can I go? There we go. That is it. That is it for episode 13 of Things in Pies podcast. Thank you very much, Lydia.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been good
Good luck
fun.
this year.
Thank you.
And best
Thank
of luck.
you.
Yeah, we will be seeing you. Hopefully, I don't know. We'll be seeing you on the podium. That'd be nice.
That would be nice.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, that would be
good. Yeah, stay away from the crazy cuts.
It was good fun, to be fair. I just felt so exposed. And I was like, I am going to lose a foot.
You can't believe you'll do it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But best of luck for this year. Cannot wait to see how you get on.
Thank you.
And Tommy, we'll see you on the next one, I guess.
Yep. Won't be long.
Nice. All right. That's it. That's a wrap, chaps.